Kenya's High Court has found Health Cabinet Secretary Aden Duale in contempt of court for failing to comply with an order halting the construction of a US-funded Ebola quarantine facility at an Air Force base in central Kenya. The ruling comes amid public protests over the project, which is intended to accommodate US citizens who may be exposed to Ebola during outbreaks in neighbouring countries of the Democratic Republic of Congo and Uganda. President William Ruto has defended the initiative, arguing that Kenya has a right to partner with the United States on the facility as part of the country's broader disease preparedness and response strategy. And for more on this, we are joined on the line by our correspondent in Kenya, Daniel Ominde. Daniel, good afternoon, and thank you for joining us on Africa Update.
Good afternoon, Lulu, and thank you for having me on the show.
Daniel, what court orders did the minister allegedly fail to comply with, and what consequences could Duale face following this contempt ruling?
So there was a court order issued by the High Court that was suspending any activity at the Ebola containment site, or rather Ebola, the clinic that was the makeshift clinic that was being set up in central Kenya in the town of Nanyuki, to be able to accommodate American citizens who are exposed to Ebola as part of an ongoing cooperation in the health sector between the Kenyan government and the government of the United States. So the orders were that all activities relating to that particular project be suspended. While on their behalf, or on their side, the Ministry of Education, of Health rather, had indicated that their interpretation of that particular order was that the cooperation with the government of the United States, the health cooperation, is what was suspended according to that court order. And they had they were in the clear to continue with that construction of the site in the country's own preparation for an Ebola outbreak. While the judge that was hearing the case and who made that ruling that indeed the health minister was in contempt of the court yesterday, Justice Patricia Nyaundi, she said that court orders are a command and are not an avenue for initiating ingenuity. So she was there referring to that excuse given by the Ministry of Health, the Kenya's Ministry of Health, as ingenuity, by claiming that they were doing this for the sake of the country's preparedness and not going on with that particular project as had been ordered against. So today, this morning, the minister appeared in court as had been directed by the judge to defend himself. He appeared in person, and of course, with a battery of lawyers in town. And he said that as part of the mitigation exercises, since now the interpretation of that particular court order to the ministry is very clear, they have now halted all activities that are related to that particular project. So that is what the minister said, and he further said that that he was going to be the last person to disobey court orders. What we are waiting for right now is for if any, there are going to be further sentencing action that's going to take place. That was going to be issued by the judge in realization, or rather, now that there have been some mitigation the mitigation elements alluded to by the minister.
Daniel, why was the Health Cabinet Secretary Aden Duale the only one found to be in contempt?
Well, generally because I think this is because, one, he's been very outspoken regarding the project, and he's been very insistent in terms of why this is a project that has to continue, and of course putting it or rather packaging it as the government's trying to be able to push forward its preparedness when it comes to containing the outbreak of Ebola if it gets to the country. Again, he was very insistent regarding the powers that the minister has when it comes to such issues of public health. But there were other people who were part of that suite. There was the Attorney General of Kenya, who was also part of that contempt of court suit that was brought about by a civil society organization here in the country known as Katiba Institute. And there were other several people, including the Department of Defense, or rather Ministry of the Defense here in the country, who are part of that suite. But so far, as of the ruling, the ruling of the court yesterday, it is the Health Cabinet Secretary who was required to attend court in person today. He was able to do that in company of other senior officials of the health ministry, including the permanent principal secretary and the director general of medical services.
Now, what has been the reaction to this ruling by the pressure groups who are against this facility? And where are these U.S. citizens, who may be exposed to Ebola during the outbreaks? Are they going to be treated like normal Kenyan citizens?
So what's happening right now is that this treatment center was not meant for American citizens who are exposed to Ebola in Kenya. The idea was basically to be able to transport American citizens exposed in the epicenters where this outbreak currently is. That is some 748 or so kilometers away from Nairobi into the country for these treatment facilities. So right now it's in the Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo, in the Bunia region, and also in some parts of Uganda. Kenya has since the first ever Ebola outbreak has never recorded any cases of Ebola, and that's why there was so much public uproar regarding this issue. With many people who were commenting on the issue, questioning why they were being transported all that distance into the country, and there are fears that act in itself may bring Ebola into the country, and including the Association of Doctors in the country, the Kenya Medical and Dentist Practitioners Union, saying that the doctors in these countries were not well prepared to deal with Ebola in case of such eventuality. The minister is currently still in court. He's currently still the case is currently being heard, and he's presenting himself. Of course, I've just said some of the things that he has said there, committing that the Ministry of Health has halted all that activities at the site in central Kenya in Nanyuki. We are yet to hear members of the civil society and the various pressure groups who are part of this litigation make their comments regarding whether they are satisfied with the minister's remarks and that no activity is actually going to take place. Remember that even the president of the country himself, President William Ruto, has also been very vocal in supporting these initiatives and criticizing pressure groups and members of the opposition and politicians for being against this particular project.
And, how has the Kenyan government responded to the court's finding against the health minister? I know you said they were still inside the court and just going through the processes, but is there any indication whether the government will appeal the judgment or seek a review?
I think the health minister has spoken exhaustively about the issue by saying that they are going to comply with all the orders as have been interpreted to them, and they are halting that. And remember, the orders halting that particular constructions were basically conservatory orders until the case that had been put before the judge is fully heard and determined. So we'll wait to see how that particular the outcomes of that particular case plays out. But we are also looking at the different government agencies, including from the Attorney General and even the government spokesperson, or even the health minister himself. He's going to issue any further statements regarding what next for the government in terms of.
Well, Daniel, thank you so much for joining us. We'll leave it there for today.
Thank you for having me.
It's been a pleasure. That's our correspondent in Kenya, Daniel Ominde, joining us on the line.
The Journal with Mateko Musito.
Did you know that